My name is Kacey. I'm a 19-year-old full-time UGC creator. I earn around 5 to 6k a month on average from UGC alone. And if I was to start UGC from scratch with the aim of reaching this income goal again, here is exactly how I would do it. Just a quick disclaimer, this video is not for anyone trying to do a get-rich-quick scheme, because that is definitely not what UGC is. I've been in this space for 3 years. And I'm still learning every single day and making mistakes and learning from them. And if you're someone that has no experience in content, that is completely fine, but just know that these steps may take you slightly longer, because even just having recorded TikToks in the past is really going to help you understand how to create UGC and what UGC is. So a quick reminder for anyone who's not quite sure, UGC is where you create content for brands to use on their socials and their ads. And the steps I'm going to run you through in this video are proof, quality bar, visibility, rates, and repeat business. So the first piece of advice I want to give you before you even get started is don't niche yourself down. Don't start thinking, should I do beauty UGC? Should I do wellness UGC? Just don't niche down. Obviously, in the future, this is definitely an option for you, but when you're first getting started, you don't want to limit the scope of clients that you can work with, because initially all you really want is the experience. Some people do disagree with me on this, and that is totally fair, because if there is a route that you're really sure you want to go down, for example, you're gym obsessed, you're wellness obsessed, and you know that they're the brands you want to work with from the off, then go for it. But if you're just starting it knowing that you enjoy creating videos, you want to make money through it, then I just wouldn't niche down. So before you even start thinking about monetizing from UGC, you need to build up some proof. You need to actually start practicing creating this type of content. The way I would do this is literally just get products from around your house that you use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and start creating content with those. For me, I had a rosemary hair oil, and I literally just did a product application video, and then I did a voiceover about the benefits of a hair oil, and that got my foot in the door. And then from here, once you started practicing creating videos, I would honestly just start posting them, no matter how bad or good you think they are. Just get them out there for people to see, because once you post first, it then becomes so much easier. And then I would just start building up a regular posting schedule. It doesn't just have to be UGC examples, it could be little vlogs, it could be a morning routine, it could be absolutely anything that just shows your ability to create high quality content while incorporating brands into the video. Even just doing talking to camera videos is so good for showing brands that you can be authentic. The next thing I would do to start building proof is try and get some form of collab, whether this is gifted, whether it's affiliate, whether it's paid. Paid is obviously best, but it's not that realistic to start out with. So in a gifted collab, you basically get gifted the product in exchange for making content. And this is just really good for getting practice, getting feedback from brands, building some proof, and then also if they run it as an ad, it's really good to try and get their ad analytics to prove that your content converted, it had a high click-through rate. And just to raise this point at the start, there is a whole thing on tags, which I'm not really going to go into because I'm not a professional whatsoever, but I think it's something like if you earn over £1,000, this is of 2026, from like any sort of self-employed income, then you need to register it with HMRC. Then we're going to go into equipment. What equipment do you actually need? Honestly, all you really need is an iPhone and a tripod. That's all I started with, and it's all you really need to start with to find out if you actually like UGC before you go and spend loads of money. And even now, I do not spend a lot on equipment. My most probably recommended equipment is a clip-on mirror, a tripod as I said, and then for the darker winter months, maybe a softbox. My go-to is always Newer. And then of course you have things like mics, which again, they're not a necessity. You can get them really cheap on places like TikTok Shop, but I love my DJI mic. Then we come to the quality bar, and I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is pitching before they're happy with their content quality. You should not be pitching to brands, whether this is via DM, via email, if you are not looking at your content and thinking that you would pay for it yourself. As many brands as there are out there, not all of them work with UGC creators, so you don't want to pitch to all of your, say, dream brands when your content doesn't reflect the quality that you'd want to create for them, because otherwise they're going to look at your portfolio and they're probably not going to take you very seriously, and you don't want that to be their lasting impression of you. So where does the work actually come from if you're not yet pitching, you're not yet too happy with the quality of your work? Number one, inbounds. No matter how you feel about your work, there could be a brand that sees your work on Instagram, on TikTok, and thinks this is what we need for our company. So I'd always have an email linked in your bio so people can easily contact you. And then the second one is platforms. So there's platforms like Incense, 12, Vidsy. I personally don't really use these a lot, even though I probably could. But they're a really good way to get your foot in the door and just start applying for opportunities that brands have already put out there. But honestly, my recommendation is just building your personal brand on social media from the start, and deals will come to you so much easier. I will do a whole separate video on personal branding because I just think the opportunities you can get from it are huge. Now let's go into rates when you're a beginner. I honestly would not be charging less than around £120 to £150 as a beginner. This is what I charge and it worked for me. And I just think any less, you're not really getting the value for your time and your efforts. And then obviously as your content gets better, as you improve, as you become happier with your work, you can increase this over time. Also, a side note on usage rights, that base rate of 120, 150 should just be for an organic video, but if a brand is requesting usage rights where they run your content as an ad or whitelist it through your account, you should be charging extra for this regardless of your experience level. I always go in with a rate of 30% of the base rate per month. Once you've actually got clients paying for your work, the big next step to getting stable income is turning them into retainers. I would try and complete about 3 or 4 collaborations with one client before you even pitch a retainer. And the points I usually go in with are that I have their product now, I understand how they like their content, I understand their tone of voice, I understand their audience. So having me as a retainer is just going to save the brand so much time because they don't have to send the products out to new people. They don't have to explain their sort of brand image to new people because we just get it because we've been working with them. And now I want to be quite honest about the timeline. For me, it took me, I think it was about 2 months to get my first paid deal, which came through an inbound. But everyone's timelines are going to be so different. You don't know what people have experience with in the past. So I don't want you to be comparing your timeline to anyone else's. Some people I see get their first paid deal in a week, which is obviously insane, but that's not very common. Whether it takes you 2-3 months, even 6 months, which it shouldn't, but just keep going and focus on yourself, focus on your own content. I think the biggest place that I went wrong when I was starting out is I was not critical enough of my work. I was doing all the inputs, I was pitching, I was posting, but I wasn't reflecting enough on the quality of the work I was putting out. So one thing I would do every single month is an audit of your own content. Be brutally honest with yourself. Is it good enough? Do you want to make it better? And just improving content quality is going to be the one thing that separates you from everyone else in the space and actually gets you these high-paying brand deals. And that is honestly what I would focus on over anything else. I spent way too much time trying to perfect my portfolio, perfect my website, but as long as you've got the high quality examples on there and the key information, nothing else really matters. I understand that I've simplified this a lot, but I just don't want to make it overwhelming. I want you to be able to consume this content easily without feeling like you have 101 things to do. Obviously, if there's any section of that you want me to dive into more, then I happily will. Just let me know in the comments below. And subscribe if you want to see more of this content because I want to help you get to where I am in the UGC world. And on that note, have the best day ever, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one.